Let's just double check this bad boy. Perfect. Okay. Welcome everyone to today's episode of Align and Allow. We are here for episode 19. If you are on live, let me know that you're here. Say hello in the comments. Let me know where you are joining me from today, where in the world you are. What's going on in your day? Is it starting? Are you towards the end of it? What happened today that went really well? I love kind of starting these with this like gratitude tap in just to see where we're at. And for us to kind of shift the energy as we come here together collectively, I think that that's a really important part of what we're doing here, is to be able to say, okay, cool. Lots is happening in the world around us. Lots is happening out there. Now what can I do about it in terms of how I'm feeling today and how I'm showing up today? Good morning from Seattle. Yay, Kimberly. So happy that you're tuning in and that you're up early. Look at you go. I love that. Okay. So what we are talking about today in today's episode of Align and Allow is how to set up your strategy for doing less. If you are new to the Align and Allow series, consider this your mini weekly morning show training. I like to call it a morning show, even though it's not morning for me, but I kind of like to think of it as something that you can have on in the background while you're getting ready in the morning, making your coffee, doing your makeup, whatever it is. And that you're really just getting like that burst of inspiration, knowledge, information on doing less, determining your aligned way of working, getting the actual coaching tips for doing that, and receiving your next level results, whether that's in your life, in your business, in your work, by doing less. We are here to talk about how we as ambitious women can show up without the hustle, without the grind, without the toxic productivity, and really lean into this way of working that's tapping into more of this feminine energy, more of this flow, while still moving forward towards those next level results, right? Okay, so as I like to do this, I like to basically break down for you the three main things that we talk about, so that if you are watching the replay and you want to skip through it to the parts that are most important to you, you can do that, or if you're going to catch it later, or if you're watching live, that you know what is coming at you. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the most important piece of your strategy when it comes to setting up a strategy for doing less. Second thing we're going to talk about is the power of your priorities. Your priorities, how do we streamline them so that you're actually moving forward towards your next level goal, outcome, or results that you're looking for? And number three is the secret to having a sustainable structure so that you can get it all done with more ease and actually have more time. The whole point of what we're talking about here is not just to, get so much done and be so productive so that you have more time to be more productive and get even more done on your to-do list. Instead, what we really want to be focusing on is streamlining that down so that you're doing the right things. You're taking action on the necessary items that are moving you forward to the results that you want, so that you then in turn have more time for the rest of your life, for resting, for enjoying, for socializing, for being with your family, your kiddos, tapping into your passions. What are the things that you want to do? What are the things that light you up and get you excited without needing to, be something that you're working towards or achieving? Okay. So if you have any questions throughout, drop them in the comments. I will be checking and making sure that we're all on the same page as we go through. And then at the end, as always, you are getting an aligned action, a strategy, a next step of how to move forward with what we've talked about today. In this case, how to set up your strategy for doing less. So number one, what is the most important piece of your strategy? This is for having that clear and aligned structure for how you're working, how you're showing up every day, so that it is from this place of clarity, of ease. And so we're going to talk about the most important part of your strategy for doing that. And what it really comes down to is alignment. And I've talked about this in a couple of previous episodes, but alignment, in my definition and the way that I teach it, is really about having a strategy, having a structure that feels really good for you. If you have a structure that is constantly giving you this feeling of, I'm so behind, I don't have enough time, I'm struggling to, get everything done that I need to get done or that I think I need to get done, or it's just kind of driving this overwhelming to-do list. So you're not even in control of your to-do list. It's like your tasks and the things that you need to show up for are like a growing fungus with a mind of its own, right? Like not cute. And a lot of times what ends up happening, especially with our structures and our strategies, is that we show up for the things that we think we should be showing up for, because that's what, someone else has taught us to do, what the leaders in our industry have said is the most effective way, what we've been taught by our parents or by, the school system or the jobs that we had growing up. Like, this is how we do things. This is how you should be doing things. And a lot of the ways that we work really come down to this idea of, I need to show up this way. And so I'm going to adhere to this structure, adhere to this strategy. And therefore, we have this belief that if I follow this strategy to a T, that's how I'm going to get the result. Let me know if that resonates with you. You are recording this. I know, will it be available for the replay? I want to watch and not concentrate on taking notes. Yes, you're taking notes right now. I totally misread that. Yes, the replay is going to be sent out afterwards via email. So if you're not on the email list, just send me a message and I can drop that in the chat for you to sign up for that. I can add you to it, but it's also in the Facebook group for the replay if you're in there. And then there's also an audio. So we have basically 3 ways: email, Facebook group, and replay, or an audio. Okay, perfect. You're on the email list. You will be getting it later on tonight then. Okay. So yeah, we have this belief system then that ties together. Okay, if I have this perfect strategy and I follow it to a T, then I'm going to be successful. So we're basically in our minds connecting 2 factors that don't actually have anything to do with each other, but we've decided that they are partners in this story. Does that make sense? So one of the things that I like to do when I first start working with clients is to, with them together, create their work style. Everyone's talking about like lifestyle, and I want to be able to like live a fit lifestyle or a healthy lifestyle or have time in my lifestyle. And I'm definitely the one to be talking about that, because I talk about time freedom, and time freedom is the kind of lifestyle where you're showing up and you have the time to do the things that you love. But in order to have that, we need to have the right work style that supports that, right? The work is the foundation for how we're showing up to the rest of our life, because it takes up so much time in our lives, right? So like I said, one of the first things I get my clients to do is to create a work style. So that what we're really doing in that is getting them really clear on how they desire to be working, so that we can actually identify what the structures are that fit into that. So for this point number 1, we're kind of talking about 2 parts here. We're talking about the alignment piece and the fact that your strategy gets to feel good to you at the end of the day. So like if you're doing things because you think you should be doing them, or you're adhering to things because of what other people have said, there are so many great strategies out there. There are so many great systems and, structures and all those things. If they're not working for you, or if you're trying to implement all these things and you're not getting the results that you want, it's not necessarily that, you're doing anything wrong with the strategy. I would love for you to consider how you feel when you're showing up for that strategy. Does it feel good? Or are you like, oh, I need to show up and do this because like, this is what my strategy says, but actually it makes me want to pull my eyes out, or my eyelashes out. It just doesn't feel good, right? So we really want to lean into this alignment piece of like, I get to have a strategy that feels good, because when I'm showing up and things feel good, that's what's going to let things flow. That's what's going to get me the results that I want. And then the second piece to that, like I said, there's like two parts here. The second piece is leaning into the work style. So, okay, now I know how I desire to feel. How do I want to feel when I'm showing up to work? How do I want to be working? What does that look like? And again, that's going to be super, super unique to your lifestyle. Like, are you a working parent? Do you work from home right now with little kids? Do you, are you just starting your business? And so it's like, okay, I've worked in corporate for so long, and now all of a sudden my structure's up to me. Like, this is different. Are you an entrepreneur and you're wanting to bring on team members, or you are wanting to adjust how many hours you're showing up for? Like, all of these things are really dependent on what your life looks like as a whole, and that's going to affect your work style. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes. I'm just like circling through my notes. So like, don't want to forget anything here. So that is the first step. Step number 1 is for you to really look at, do my strategies feel aligned for me right now? The ways that I'm showing up, the structures, am I feeling good in those? Or am I feeling stressed? Because again, you can have a to-do list that runs you, or you can be running your to-do list. You can have a strategy that runs you, or you can be running your strategy. You can have a work style that works for you, or your work isn't working for you, right? So like, where do you feel like you fall on that spectrum? And I really encourage you to keep this high level for right now, just because as soon as we dig into things, like there's so many strategies that are most likely in place. There are probably a lot of belief systems in terms of like, I should be doing this, and this is what I have to do in order to be successful. And let's just keep it really simple in terms of like, how do I feel when I show up for this? Is it supporting, the way that I want to be working? Am I getting the results from it? That's also a really key factor to know, is it in alignment with me? Am I getting results that I want, right? Okay. Let's move on to point number 2. Your priorities, streamlining your priorities so that you are actually moving forward towards your next level goal, outcome, or result. So one of the things that I see happen so often is when we have strategies that we think we should have, like these are the strategies that are going to get you the results. This is the system that's going to allow you to work smarter or be more productive or whatever it is that you're looking for at this point. When we are incorporating all these systems and we think we're doing the right things, what I see happen so often is that clients start to focus on putting all their structures in place first. So we're not even focusing on momentum towards the actual next level goal that we have. And then on top of that, we are trying to do all the things at once. And literally, I think this is one of the most common conversations that come up with clients. It happened yesterday. It happened last week. And it's literally this conversation of, I want to do all the things. I feel like I need to apply for this job. I feel like I want to start, working out again. I want to incorporate my morning routine. I want to build my business. I want to get a new program going in my business. And I want to do it all at the same time, right? Like there's so many things that we want to do. And it's great and amazing to acknowledge those because yes, we are here as ambitious humans, ambitious women. We want to make things happen in our lives. We want to be in a place of like feeling fulfilled on a day-to-day basis, of feeling really good about where we are in our lives, right? But wanting to do all of that at once is like the way that we are going to stall ourselves from actually getting any momentum going. Does that make sense? So again, one of the great examples that came up last week with a particular client is she was saying that she does all the unimportant stuff when she starts to feel tired, just to feel accomplished, but then she's actually not moving forward towards the right things. And she's a big list of things that she wants to do and create in her business. And when she starts to feel overwhelmed because there's no prioritization in what actually is important for her to do now, what's the top priority project? How is she, starting to move towards that? What are the steps that she needs to be taking? Everything feels big and overwhelming, right? And then naturally she's like, I just revert to like getting things checked off my to-do list so that I end the day still feeling like I was productive, right? Like if I can see things checked off, I can feel good about it, right? They're just not the right things that are being checked off. It doesn't mean that these things don't need to get done, but it's kind of like, okay, where am I focusing the greatest amount of my energy? Is it on all the little admin things that like aren't going to make or break anything? Yes, they need to get done, but like if I don't do them today, or if I do them like sporadically here and there, a little bit, broken up, that's going to be fine. Or is it going to be the thing of me focusing my energy on this next level goal, really having clarity on where it is that I'm going, knowing that this is the first thing that I want to be focusing on. So all those other priorities can kind of be put to bed for a minute. And then I can actually start to move forward with momentum in that direction because I also know what the steps are that I need to take that are going to get me there. Do we see what the difference feels like there? Kimberly says, I just spend my time preparing and setting up all the things and I get obsessed with that part. Totally. And that's kind of the same thing with like, I want to get my structure put in place first, because when I do that, then I feel like I'm ready to go. Right. And it's interesting when we have too many priorities, when we have too many things on our to-do list, when we spend a lot of time reorganizing or restructuring things, when we, lean into checking up the small things to feel accomplished, those are indirectly like little ways that we are procrastinating because, this big priority doesn't feel clear. It's like there's too much going on, right? So I think it's really great just to even acknowledge like, okay, cool. That's what's happening. Like, I see that that's what's happening. That means like, one, it's fantastic that I see that because now I have clarity on what I need to do next, which is what's that number one priority? What's that number one thing that I want to, really be honing in on and creating momentum towards in my life. And if you don't know what that thing is, and you're trying to figure it out, I do have a free, lesson from the Aligned Productivity Academy that is still available. And I can shoot you that message to Kimberly later. And it basically walks you through clarifying like what your next level priority is. Totally. I was trying to ignore the procrastination word. Yeah. And again, it's important to also know like procrastination is not a bad thing at all. Procrastination is a way that our body and, our environment can communicate with us to say, hey, like something's not flowing the way that we want it to be, or, hey, maybe you need to take a break right now. Like that's one of the biggest tell signs for needing rest is I'm procrastinating. I'm getting distracted. I can't focus on this thing anymore. And so it's really, if you find yourself procrastinating, like start to reframe that for yourself of cool, like I can identify that I'm procrastinating right now. And therefore I can dive into, okay, is it a priority thing? Do I need to get clarity on what it is that is actually important because there's kind of this lack of direction happening? Or is it because I'm feeling distracted and I need a break? And like, this is all just like a little bit too much. And maybe it's a combination of both, especially if like overwhelm is sprinkled in there. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. I want to share one more story that just came to mind. I was ready to move on, but I had a client yesterday who we were talking about this and we clarified her top priority. And just to kind of emphasize like what happens when we get this piece streamlined, when we get to the point of simplifying our priorities, because it is such a big piece of our strategy. It's the end destination. It's like, okay, cool. I know where I'm going now. So now I can have this strategy that takes me there without all the excess overwhelm. And she was talking about like all these things that were going on and that she had to get done. And, all these other mindset pieces that were coming up because of it. And as soon as we clarified like what the next number one thing was for her, her mood totally changed. And I was like, do you recognize like your energy is so different now? And she's like, I feel so light and I feel like I'm ready to like hit the ground running. And that's really the energy that you want to be in when you are showing up in your strategy. And when you have a strategy that is serving you in, with clarity and with doing less, because as soon as we're overworking, we also don't feel good again. Then you're going to be able to very easily stay in that energy that's going to allow you to actually get things done, actually be productive and get the results that you want to get. Does that make sense? Overwhelm sprinkled in. What a great way to try and think of it. Yeah. We're just like, we're seeing where it's at. We're seeing what's happening. Okay. Let's talk about point number 3. So this is the secret to having a sustainable structure that you can, so that you can get everything done with more ease and actually have time to get out, get away from work and enjoy your life. Like that is at the end of the day, you are here to create a life, not just be making a living. And having a strategy that supports that your intention is doing that and the strategy supports that intention, that's key. So what's the secret to doing that? And I think that this ties back in beautifully with Kimberly's comment from before. So this is going to come full circle. But the secret to doing this is taking messy action. And this is where the action piece comes in. So the first kind of pieces from before, the point number 2 and point number 3, or point number 1 and point number 2, getting confused with our numbers. We talked about alignment and the importance of your strategy feeling good. And then number 2 is having that clarity in the direction that you're going in. And then number 3 is taking action towards that. And this is really where we want to look straight into the face of whatever the narratives are that are coming up around, who do I need to be in order to do this? Like maybe there's imposter syndrome coming up and you're like, I need to know more. I need to be more knowledgeable before I can go and start talking about this. Or maybe there's perfectionism and you're like, I need to have the strategy completely like laid out, or I need to know, what's going to happen at every step of the way or what the end result is going to be in order to like feel really solid about this. Or maybe again, you're planning and pre-planning and replanning everything and reorganizing it again and again and again. You're like, okay, but we're not moving forward, but I'm doing things. It's like, okay, this is where we want to like go into this mindset of taking messy action as being the only action that counts, because we can sit around all day and say, I want this to be perfect and I want it to be amazing, but until we try it, we're never going to know. And the messy action part allows for us to create space for things to be fun and for it to be about curiosity, right? There's no perfect time to start. There's no perfect way to do it. And again, this comes back to like, how do you have a strategy that allows you to do less? there is no one perfect strategy. There's only the strategy that works best for you because it is in alignment with you and the way that you want to be living. Does that make sense? And so when we're taking messy action, it gives us this space to mess up. It gives us space to try things and test things. And it gives us space to make tweaks and make adjustments. And it doesn't mean that, when something doesn't go exactly the way that we want it to go, and this is the kind of key part of the strategy, is if the strategy isn't perfect yet, or if it's not working the way that we want it to, okay, where can I tweak it a little bit? I don't need to throw the whole strategy out of the window, but maybe what piece wasn't working for me and how can I start adjusting that? Does that make sense? Yeah. And just like in a relationship, I love using relationship analogies. So prepare yourselves. But just like in a relationship, like you have to find your groove with the person that you're with, right? And then whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship, like when you first meet, you're gonna be like, ooh, okay, we just met. Like, do they like this? Are we on the same page about this topic? Like, do we both like margaritas? I don't know. And tacos, let's find out. And so until you get into that same page, like you're most likely not going to be able to like talk about all the deep things or like really share like what you're struggling with right now because you're testing the waters. And so it's kind of the same with your strategy. You're coming together with this curiosity of like, could this be something? And then once you get to that point of like, ooh, I see how it works. I trust it now. Like I know that it's getting me the results that I want. And we do want to be in that mindset previously anyways, like, okay, the strategy is working. And that's kind of a different conversation about mindset then. But just allowing yourself that space to settle into what it is that you're doing. And I think that's kind of the last thing that I want to share here that I see happen a lot where clients are wanting to implement things, for example, a morning routine or a task planning strategy. And they either lean into it too much where it's like, oh my God, it has to be perfect. And then they burn themselves out from needing to confine themselves to the structure, or like they're trying to stick to it too rigidly and it's not working for them. It's creating stress. Or on the other hand, it's just kind of the situation of, oh my God, I can't stay consistent with it. I'm doing all these things. And it just is starting to feel overwhelming again. Does that make sense? Kimberly, after 37 years with one company, feeling very secure, I had a massive burnout, and now at age 55, need to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. Oh my, totally. Yeah. And that's like something that can happen at any stage of our lives. Like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Like, and kind of creating space again for that curiosity of it. Like, I'm still growing up. All of us are still growing up. I literally just had a call with a client and she was like, I need to have like a shirt that says like forever a toddler. And I'm like, honestly, yeah, because like we're all constantly moving through, the one phase of our life to another and kind of navigating that and then saying, okay, cool. What's the next step? And what's the next step? And that is part of the growth journey as well, taking messy action through that. Okay, so those were your 3 points for today's episode, how to set up your strategy for doing less. I have a very special freebie that was just launched this week that literally guides you through. It is a strategy for guiding you through to streamline your to-dos, streamline your tasks, all the things that are coming up for you there, and simplifying your priorities. So that was point number 2 that we talked about, the importance of knowing what that next number 1 thing is that you're focusing on so that you can actually take clear action towards that. And then knowing how to structure and streamline your to-do list, because again, all those things that are on it, that comes down to knowing, okay, I don't actually need to do all those things. We talked about that one client of mine as well, who's like, oh, I do all the unimportant things, or I reorganize my calendar again, like Kimberly was saying. So how can we streamline what's actually on that list in the first place, so that we don't have that much stuff on the to-do list and we can get more done in turn and then have more time for our life. And that's also kind of a conversation of feeling safe. And that's why I think the strategy is so great. You can click the link in the description or in the chat to go and download this really amazing freebie. But basically what I'm teaching you is the weekly to daily flow structure or method that I teach my one-on-one clients, that I teach my Aligned Productivity Academy members. And it really is this process of, okay, I don't need to be doing the most. And how can I feel safe in having my structure support me in that? Because if we have all been taught that we need to do the most and, check off everything on our to-do list and go, and like be productive at every point in time, doing something that doesn't match up to that is going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to feel not very safe. So one of the reasons I think the strategy that I love it so much, and I've seen it work wonders for all of my clients and myself, like this is a game changer, is because it really focuses on this kind of underlying mindset of like, okay, this gets to feel safe. And how can we streamline the to-dos in a way that's sustainable for you? So you're actually maintaining it. It doesn't just, you don't just do it once and then you fall back into the massive to-do list the next week. Because we're also focusing on streamlining these priorities. Like what is the thing that you actually need to be focusing on? So you can click the link in the description. If you're watching the replay via email, the link to this will also be in the email. And of course, if you are listening to the audio, the link will be below the audio as well. So I will be back to check out any comments or questions that you might have. Otherwise, I wish you a lovely rest of your Wednesday, wherever you are in the world. And I would love to hear from you how your strategy is going. Is it in alignment with you? Are you feeling good about it? Do you have clarity in your next level priority? Is there maybe not so much clarity? And if you downloaded the freebie, let me know. I would love to hear how it went. There's a link in the chat box. Yeah. If you scroll up, I'll drop it for you one more time, Kimberly. There you go. So that's the link to get access to the freebie, the strategy for streamlining your to-dos and simplifying your priorities. Perfect. Okay. Then a lovely rest of your day. And I will talk to you all in the Facebook group and see you soon. Bye.